I want to get to the Guardian cap. Jonathan Taylor wore one. A number of Colts wore one. We saw one of the Steelers game as well last week. I was sitting with Tyler Lockett yesterday. Thoughtful guy. A lot of interest off the field. Real estate, poetry. Yeah. He's been a writer. He's a guy who's thought about the future. And I said, would you wear one? You saw Jonathan Taylor wearing one. Would you wear one in a game, regular season? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I mean, if they make me, then I guess. And that kind of surprised me because I thought he might be one of those guys that said, yeah, you know what? I would. Albert, do you think we will see them in the regular season?
I think we'll see some. I don't know about a lot. I have heard, so there are a couple things I've heard from a comfort standpoint that like some players feel like you get like hot underneath them, believe it or not, and that it does add some weight to your helmet. So, in a game where speed is at a premium, I think that that's part of the equation for players. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, I believe this was, and I don't want to speak out of school, is I'll just say it was a head coach that I was talking to last year, right, about this. And a defensive-minded head coach, a guy who came from the defensive side of the ball. And he said what he was worried about was these guys wearing them in practice and then developing a false sense of security when they may be leading with their head in certain plays, and then that false sense of security carrying over into games. And I circled back with him, and he said he did see it happen, like where guys were using their heads a little bit more aggressively because in camp they were less worried about it. And camp's really kind of like when you build your habits back up. So it's not perfect, right? But, I do think there are certain players that are going to look at this and say, it's worth it. And, I think back to, you remember Mark Kelso?
Sure.
And Mark Kelso, if you go back and you look at pictures of him, the old Bills safety, he had like kind of this foam head, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think Steve Wallace, who was a great tackle for the Niners back in the day, I think he wore one too, right? And so there were a number of guys back then when we were kids that were wearing them. And my guess would be this year, that's probably what you see, where you'll see it, it'll look weird, and not enough players are wearing it for it to like kind of normalize. But I think you will see those cases, and maybe in particular with guys who've had concussion issues. So yes, I think we'll see some of it. Do I think it's going to be widespread? No, because I don't know how many guys are convinced that it's going to be a huge difference maker. And NFL football has played so much on the margins with just that little bit making the difference between you and the next guy, where guys are going to think if it affects my performance in any way, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we'll see a few. I do think, though, that with each passing year, you'll see more, but it just takes a few to start it. And then maybe we'll see where it goes.
And look, like it's a hard thing for players,
Yeah.
Like the personal comfort thing's a hard thing. I think the competitive part of it is too. I guess it's like the Dion thing, right? What is it? Look good, feel good, play good, right?
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
I think the aesthetic part of it is a factor.
I had someone tell me that yesterday. I had a player tell me yesterday off air that no, I want that logo. I want them to see the side of my helmet. I want them to see the top of my helmet. Not that I'm leading with it, but like there is something to that aesthetically, the swag, the fear factor that they don't want to lose.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.